using a mixture of emotions and blackmail. We made it clear to him that if he did not do something, we were going to go back home. And given that there was a war in the north, we would face a most uncertain future. Karamba, trying to educate Joseph Kony on international law. And Joseph Kony eventually came to the realization that here is a person who is willing to tell me the truth. Justice Emeritus Owiny-Dollo will always speak the truth at any cost. I was with him in the bushes of Garamba. Occasionally, I wondered whether we would come back alive, given the kind of things he was telling Joseph Kony, that gave Chief Justice Alfonse Owiny-Dollo to Uganda. Everybody is from somewhere. Even Jesus is referred as Jesus of Nazareth. I beg the indulgence of the court to connect the journey of Chief Justice Emeritus Owiny-Dollo to the place that gave him life and gave him the name that he bears. My Lord, across the Nile at Karuma and across the river Swa, multitudes await the return of their beloved and illustrious son. We thank God that you are sending him back to us alive, well, and healthy. We thank the judiciary family for taking good care of him. We also thank his family for standing by him, because we know the position of Chief Justice comes with a lot of stress and pressures. These stresses and pressures are familiar to you, my Lord, the Chief Justice. Allow me to inform court that on the 14th of March this year, the President of Uganda came to Gulu as we celebrated the homecoming of Chief Justice Emeritus Owiny-Dollo. My Lord, you were ably represented by the principal judge. The multitudes that gathered there received your message with appreciation. As Chief Justice Owiny-Dollo retires, I do recall coming to this building and I found him still at an office. And I asked him, "You are retired, what are you still doing here?" And then he said, "I have work to do. This work will probably take me about 3 months. I have to finish writing certain judgments." I then understood that he was committed. Allow me, my Lord, to make personal mention of my first encounter with Chief Justice Emeritus Alfonse Owiny-Dollo. As many of you know, I was politically active at Makerere University. We had some disagreements, to put it mildly, with the government of Uganda. Those disagreements degenerated into a strike. My Lord's decorum will not allow some members of the bench who were also active in those strikes. My Lord, myself and the late Speaker of Parliament, may his soul rest in peace, Jacob Olanyalo Kori, were singled out for expulsion from the university. We were given the opportunity to go and defend ourselves before Justice of the Supreme Court, Harold Platt, who was then chairing a commission of inquiry sitting at Mengo. We didn't know what to do. We turned to Chief Justice Emeritus Owiny-Dollo, who was then practicing law. His offices were at the hotel now known as Grand Imperial, somewhere upstairs. We basically told him that he is the only person standing between us and total ruin. Using a mixture of emotions and blackmail, we made it clear to him that if he did not do something, we were going to go back home, and given that there was a war in the north, we would face a most uncertain future. He opened a few books, and then he said, "Here is something that may help you." The details of our case was that the University Council had passed a statutory instrument which apparently we had violated, and that led to the decision to have us expelled. Chief Justice Emeritus Owiny-Dollo discovered a gap in the actions of the University Council. For that statutory instrument to be valid and therefore have the force of law, it needed to have been laid before Parliament. And he discovered that it had not been laid before Parliament. Therefore, it did not have the force of law. He advised us to go and draw the attention of the chair of the Commission of Inquiry to that fatal flaw. You should have seen us as we dashed the next morning. Even I, who is only 5'6", I was standing 6 feet tall as I entered the room where the Commission of Inquiry held its proceedings. We quickly made our submissions, of course, not making any reference to our chief advisor. And that is how we managed to be allowed to continue with our studies in Makerere University. This is a very personal testimony, my Lord. And that's the reason why I graduated as a lawyer. And that's the reason why I ended up even as Minister of Justice. I think Chief Justice Emeritus Chigamoyo Owiny-Dollo did this because he recognizes that education is the only escape route for the children of the poor. He himself, having been born by a World War II veteran, his father must have shared with him the tales of the distant lands where he fought. And that commitment to education allowed him to earn a place in King's College, Budo. Chief Justice Chigamoyo Owiny-Dollo, who is retiring, values education as a great equalizer between the various classes. How could a boy from Patongo who went to school barefoot end up in King's College, Budo, rubbing shoulders with the sons and daughters of royalty, and rise to become Chief Justice of Uganda. I believe that is the reason why he has launched an initiative back home known as Rocho Pacho, which simply means renewing the home, a revival. In a way, that makes him a modern day Nehemiah, one who is committed to building from the ashes. But he didn't stop there. He made sure there is a special program known as Derokwan, a granary for supporting education. He knows that education can bridge gaps. He announced during the homecoming that he is committed to the work of Rocho Pacho, which will enable our community, which suffered a 20-year war, to rise again. No doubt he was active in the peace building efforts. My Lord, you, his colleagues, know that for many weeks he was in the bushes of Garamba trying to educate Joseph Kony on international law. And Joseph Kony eventually came to the realization that here is a person who is willing to tell me the truth. Chief Justice Emeritus Owiny-Dollo will always speak the truth at any cost. I was with him in the bushes of Garamba, and occasionally I wondered whether we would come back alive, given the kind of things he was telling Joseph Kony. For instance, he told Joseph Kony to stop comparing himself with President Museveni. He boldly told Joseph Kony that abducting children and raping women and mass murders will automatically lead him to jail. He told him boldly that he is not innocent. While many of us were glossing over the issues, Chief Justice Emeritus Owiny-Dollo put it in black and white. As he comes home in retirement, we know he will be very busy. Already, he's a champion of coffee growing. My Lord, the British had told us that coffee does not grow in the north. I think they had an agenda to tempt our people to join the army by forcing our people to concentrate on crops that took a lot of energy, tobacco and cotton, which you have to grow every year. Northern Uganda was denied perennial crops. Chief Justice Alfonse Owiny-Dollo has turned that logic upside down and is now a chief promoter of perennial crops. Occasionally, I have seen him with plants of coffee and even macadamia in his official car. And when I would ask him, then he says some of the plants have dried up and he intends to replace them. That speaks of his persistence in the face of all odds. Chief Justice Owiny-Dollo, finally, my Lord, became an inspiration to me when I joined the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. He recruited me to join the Pepperdine class of 2023, 2022, 2023, 2024 to pursue a master's in dispute resolution. His commitment to constant learning was an inspiration to me. Surprisingly, I graduated against all odds, as you know, my Lord. I don't need to go into the details of my trials and tribulations as I struggle to complete that course. But I used to tell myself, what excuse do I have if a man who has long judgments to write can also be a good student? How could I fail? Eventually, he also inspired me to launch the alternative dispute resolution policy, which we took to cabinet many months after the alternative justice system of the judiciary. The then Deputy Chief Justice Richard Butera was delegated by the then Chief Justice to lead us. As I speak now, my Lord, alternative dispute resolution is at the mainstream of dispute resolution in Uganda, thanks to Chief Justice Emeritus Owiny-Dollo. And we, his disciples, will continue to do the work. As if that's not enough, he has created an organization to promote that kind of dispute resolution, which he calls African Dispute Resolution. And then this one in which we are, he calls the alternative. He has donated 10 acres of land to the organization he established. I am in charge of clearing the land. But he has stopped me because he wants to go and personally mark the traditional trees that should be spared. So I'm still waiting. That also speaks about his commitment to environmental protection. It is therefore a great honor for me to join the Solicitor General and support this application. We thank God for the life of Alphonse Owiny-Dollo. We thank you, my Lord, for the commitment which you shared on the day you were sworn, that you are going to continue supporting these initiatives. We proudly associate with the expansion of access to justice, to the massive infrastructure developments, the expansion of human resources, above all, the spirit of teamwork with the executive and also the parliament. Indeed, the three branches of government are co-equal, to quote Chief Justice Emeritus Owiny-Dollo, but they are not disjoint sets. We will forever be indebted to Chief Justice Owiny-Dollo for his contribution, and we still believe that he will continue giving his best to the country he loves. I stand obliged, my Lord. Thank you very much.